right. Hello, everybody. Bonjour, bonsoir. Welcome to this week's Wada Forum. This in Wada's summer study group. We will be talking and getting into more technical content today. And we're really happy to have Dan Baruka here with us to guide us through smart contracts. Just a reminder about the summer study group. So we are offering a challenge over the summer to collect as many free educational certificates from some of the resources we pulled together on various topics around blockchain and AI. And people who submit the most of the free certificates will be entered for a sponsorship for the Cardano CBCA certification that we will pay for at the end. All right, so at this point, the summer study group is kind of taking on more of a decentralized approach. So we're rotating through different community members to really moderate and host each week. So this week, as I said, we are very happy to have Dan Baruka joining us to talk about smart contracts. So maybe I'll pass over to you, Dan, and you can introduce yourself a little bit, and then I think we can let you start the screen share.
Thank you, Megan. Hello, everyone again. I will start by presenting myself. I'll start by sharing, then I'll present myself. Let me share my screen. Okay, hope you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay, good. So, yeah, thank you, Megan, again. My name is Dan Baruka. I'm a CEO and co-founder of UpGradeability Developers. I am also a blockchain developer. I've been in the blockchain ecosystem since 2021, I think. Yeah, so almost 5 years building on blockchain and Cardano, especially. So today we are going to discuss a bit about the smart contract, how it works, and the role and advantages of the smart contract. So yeah. Simply, smart contract is just a plain language guide to agreement that run themselves built on Cardano. Because here we are talking about Cardano, we do have a lot of type of smart contract, and it may change depending on blockchain. But currently, and in this session, we'll be talking about smart contract on Cardano. Yeah. We have two parts of the session. The first one will be more informative and for users and builders. But we did also plan to, we have a blog where we go quite deeper and technical for people who may need to go deeper and read how smart contract works in the code side and the blockchain side. We'll be focusing on this presentation, and at the end, if we still have time, I'll have just to present what we have in the link, in the blog link, where we have more technical side of the smart contract. Yeah. So what is a smart contract? Again, a smart contract is just an agreement written as a small program. It can hold money, but I can't only say money. We can say asset. Here we say it holds money, but asset in general and values, and release it only when the agreed rules are met. So it doesn't wait a middleman. Automatically for everyone and every time. We can also add anywhere. So it doesn't really depend on anything outside of the smart contract. So the smart contract just verify, and when the rules are met, it releases the asset. So we have an example. Think about a vendor machine. Nobody sit inside deciding if you deserve a snack. The machine simply follow its rule and write coin in and snacks out. This is the sample showing exactly how it works. It's kind of like a machine. You put in the coin, the money, and the output is the snack. It really depends. If it's a fake money, you won't receive the snack, and if it's a real money and it's enough for snacks, you'll get the snack out. That's how it works. No need for someone inside, no need for papers, no need for someone deciding yes or no, you deserve it or not. And the same time you put in the coin, you receive the output directly. That's exactly how the smart contracts works. In short word, like in simple sample, like this machine. So we'll also see the difference between the old way of agreement and contracts and the new contract way, which we call smart contract. When we are signing an agreement, what we use, we write on paper. On the old way, we use papers, and in the smart contract side, we use code and public ledger. In a blockchain. So when we are talking about enforced by, when you are using a paper, you need goodwill, testing, or codes. So you really use them. You really need them when you're writing a smart contract using paper. But for smart contracts, you just need rules running themselves. So once you have the rules running in the smart contract, nothing else. Everything will be decided inside the smart contract. So when it comes for middlemen, again, here we depend on the middleman, because in all agreements we have articles which need, like, for example, if we disagree for something, we'll need to go to the court, for example. So we totally depend on the middleman, and we paid for it. So we need to pay for the middleman. And here we don't need any middleman. This is even the real sample of the decentralization in the blockchain. So we never really need a middleman. And the last one, I've just listed 4. When it comes for speed, here you'll be waiting. For example, if you want a middleman like a court, you'll wait many days and sometimes even weeks, even months, even years. But for smart contract, if it's a yes, it's a yes. If it's a no, it's a no. But in the same minute, it doesn't really need to wait. So those are some differences between the old way of agreement and the new way of agreement, which we call smart contract. And again, if you have any question, I don't know, you can interrupt me and ask directly the question, so I'll have in mind what was the question, or I can just directly answer the question directly. So we move with question. I don't know, Megan, how do you suggest? So,
well, yeah, no, thanks, Dan. So I was thinking we've got a couple more people joined. It looks like everyone is having a slow start today. But something we like to do in these sessions is also just get a chance to hear from everybody. So maybe you want to offer a kind of more specific question to orient you, like asking people's experience with smart contracts. Or maybe you have a question that matches more with your presentation for the beginning.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And then we can just call on a couple of people in the audience to contribute and get a feeling.
Exactly. Yeah, we can even go back here. So from here, what I needed to know first is how many people have heard like about the smart contract and use it, even if not building a smart contract or coding a smart contract, but at least use it somewhere or in a DApp or any type of smart contract. I don't know. I want to understand if you have an experience with the smart contract. If yes, maybe if you can explain what was it. So this will help us because we have kind of samples and use cases will kind of match. I'm seeing screen, so if even chat, even in the chat. So I want to. Okay.
So yeah, people can raise your hand, or we can just call on people. And there's no wrong answer here, because if you don't have any experience, you can simply say that, you don't have the experience and that's why you're here to learn more. Or if you have some small experience, you can talk about that as well. Maybe I should kick us off, and I can say, I'm very close to a lot of things related, to smart contracts. I'd say my most direct experience with smart contracts is through the Intersect budget process, for example. They're using smart contracts on the back end to unlock payments from the Treasury. So I wouldn't say that I'm directly involved in that process, but that's the closest use case to me in my current kind of endeavors.
Good, thank you. Someone else? This is a very, very good example we can even use in this session. But I want to hear, as Megan said, if you never use it, maybe you've used it somewhere, but you don't really know. But I just want to understand if some people have had used it somewhere in a DApp, or if you don't know, you can say, okay, maybe I don't know, but I've used this DApp. I think it uses smart contract. So no wrong answer. You can say yes or no. Even reacting yes or no, like you using emojis, so like yes and no. So I know how many people have used smart contract.
Yeah, let's call in some people. So how about Abdul Basit?
Good. Okay. So okay, two more people, three. Okay. So I'm really sure people are using smart contracts, but it's not visible in the user interfaces. When you are dealing or you are interacting with an app, they won't say you are interacting with the smart contract. Unless you are technical, you'll know because it will require you some like collaterals to interact with the smart contract. But if you are not technical, you may not know if you've used the smart contract. So feel free to ask any question, raise your hand, put it in the chat. So I'll be checking if there is a question. Any type of question, even if you don't know if it's a good question to this session, you just ask it, maybe we'll redirect the question. Yeah. So coming to the next slide here, sorry. So coming to the next slide here, I was talking about differences. I know many people have signed the contract, even like 90% maybe of people here have signed an agreement or a paper, any kind of contract. So it's really the same as the smart contract. The difference is only you don't really dealing with papers. You don't need a middleman. It's really fast. So you don't realize that you are dealing with the smart contract, but yes, you are dealing with the smart contract behind sometimes. This is the example. Okay. Yes. There is a question, Nana, Safo, you can go on.
Oh yeah, I didn't know. Okay, so now it's working. Yeah, my question has to do with the smart contract that involves funds facilitation, right? So, for instance, if you take what Intercept is doing, they've set up a smart contract that in the back end, transfers funds from the CDH to various project owners. So, for instance, if a project is funded through the treasury, it is facilitated by Intercept through this smart contract. So, I just want you to highlight or throw a bit more light on how exactly it works, given the situation that in this instance, you don't really need human beings to be present before, this smart contract executes what it is set out to execute, right? And I'm saying this because, if you look at how projects are relating with this smart contract, the idea is that, once you deliver your milestone achievement form, right? And then, it goes through some form of verification, and then the smart contract is supposed to release these funds to you. I mean, the next tranche of funds to you. But I wanted to highlight a bit more, and maybe Megan, you can chime in terms of exactly how the Intercept smart contract is set up to ensure that, you know, milestone completion forms that are being submitted are actually verified, which is the contents in it are actually verified before the smart contract is executed. And if that is the case, that doesn't mean that it is dependent on some human being to trigger before the execution happens, or it is not.
Yeah, very good question, and yeah, this will even help us to really understand exactly how the smart contract works. So let me explain this and come back to your question, because this is this exactly what explain your question. So here we are trying to show, if you, for example, want to send money from A to B, but with a certain conditions, different way where when you are using just your wallet, sending from your wallet to another wallet. This is a case where you send money, but you say, okay, only if these rules is okay, this we agree with these rules, then this guy will receive the money. This is the sample. So when we use, for example, a bank, you are here and there is an agent. It can be a branch or something dealing with the bank systems and people behind the bank, and it may need to pass by a second agent before to deliver to the guy the recipient. But here, the only condition, for example, here we can say the governance is the guy sending the money to project here and say, okay, we have a department regulating or like taking if you are taking the eligibility, for example, here, and the bank will check, for example, document, and this is the guy who will send money to the recipient. You see that this will take a lot of days, and people, when we are talking about papers, we can fake papers, we can have delay, we can have error, we can have a lot of problems here in this case, and we have a lot of money. We'll pay a lot of money because we are dealing with a lot of people, middlemen, so it's required to pay a lot of fees. But here, you are just here, or the government say, okay, we want to pay for this project through a smart contract. It can be a milestone based, depending on how you progress with the project. Now, all the rules must be here. When you're talking about milestones and the deliveries you are producing, we'll just put the intersect, get money from the treasury, send money to the smart contract. Before anything, we need to send the money in the smart contract and introduce rules here. Like rules can be like milestone. For example, for this type of project, they will say, okay, every milestone will be paying 24%, like 25%. So you'll have four milestones to reach the 100% of the fund. How does it really work? They send the money in the smart contract, the 100% of the money. From now, you can have the 100% in the smart contract. But Intersect says in their rules here, you'll just be releasing milestone after milestones. And what milestone means, you produce the like report and like all output of what you are doing in the project. We may need to verify before introducing it, before introducing like the approval in the smart contract. So it really depends on how they want the rules to be verified. It can be automatically verified in the smart contract, but sometimes we need to verify before. Let's go with stamp of project catalyst. People need to verify, and when they said they give their approval, they will just say yes in the smart contract. This is the kind of agreement we have. Only milestone reviewer say yes, this is okay, and this is the entry point, and we have the money in the smart contract, and the smart contract directly releases the money to the recipient. That's how it works. It really depends on how you want to verify, but most of times people may need to automate this process in the smart contract when it comes for few or less verification. But when we are using like project verification, the verification starts here. We can even say it's here in the middle between the smart contract and you and the sender. But the verification starts here. Say, okay, yes, I'm good with it. I'm good with this milestone. I've sent the money in the smart contract. Okay, release the fund. Even if he doesn't like provide how much you need to receive, as long as he produces, the Intersect said that you just be receiving 25% of the money. They will just say yes, and you receive the 25. Do you see that kind of rules? Yes, and the rules are here. You can't have, for example, more than 25% per milestone, and those kind of rules are like we put it directly in the smart contract here in this smart contract. So after the rules are met, you just receive. That's how it works. So Intersect may need to verify your project directly here and say just yes. The money is already in the smart contract from the treasury, and after that you just receive the fund for the specific milestone. I don't know if that answers your question. That's how it works. But sometimes the verification starts directly from the sender, and the money must be in the smart contract before even sending the input. I don't know if you still have a question about Intersect and how it works behind. Okay. I'll just be checking the question in the chat. Meanwhile, let's move. How the smart contracts works, I've been explaining using this sample here, but this is exactly how it works in like behind the scene, behind the different dApps. The rules are the same, small or bigger like contract, use the same way of working in behind. We have agreement, two sides set rules together, and then we lock the money wait inside. So for example, when we are talking about money, we'll talk about like we'll say money, but any type of asset. It can be like NFTs, it can be tickets, it can be native tokens, it can be like anything we can transfer in the in the blockchain can be locked in the smart contract. For example, when you are selling a ticket, you can also lock all the tickets here, and once the user meet the agreement, agree I can say once the user meets the rule, there will be a verification here, and the asset will be sent to the recipient. This is exactly, even if it's complex, but it follows the same rules, the same steps as here. So first we have agreement, we lock the asset, we have the verification, and we release. Any type of even different blockchain uses the same steps to produce a smart contract. Why Cardano? Here we can say we all know that Cardano is a research-based blockchain. So we also know that it have less the transaction costs few cents. I mean less than $1. So yeah, it's one of the good reasons. And it's a proof of stake blockchain, so less energy. This is why Cardano, and many other why Cardano, but I've just used the three. For this is just for those who may want to go deeper. If, for example, you want to build a smart contract, you need to use at least Cardano smart contract languages like ICANN or Plutus. We also have many other, but I'll just list the two. We also have Plutus TX for those who are JavaScript friendly. If you want to really go deeper, I will suggest you to go to the link, but I wanted to highlight what are the key elements you want to use when you are building the smart contract. We may need to have an idea on how to build a validator program. So first of all, when you are building a smart contract or when you are using a smart contract, feel like you just have rules you need to follow. So for example, you can even start in a paper saying, okay, this is how the smart contract will work. I want when someone sends money here, I will hold it in the smart contract until the second guy provide this proof, for example, or send this asset or do this. So you can have a kind of full idea of how the smart contract works. Then you'll be using ICANN or Bluetooth. Then you'll build using those two languages. Validators are like components that check, that check the verifying the smart contract. It kind of verify yes or no. You meet the agreement. So we're also dealing with UTXOs because Cardano ledger model use UTXO. So you need to deal with this with UTXO to release or to move fund and to do transactions. Again, we also need to calculate the transaction fee in the smart contract because it are normal, or we can say it's a regular transaction. So you may need to pay transaction fees. We have another sample here of a smart contract, and here we'll stop here and say, okay, we did this transaction so many times in our usual every time we go to the market buying stuff, we do this transaction. But how can you transform the transaction we are doing, for example, when we are buying on Alibaba or anywhere online, transform it using a smart contract? How will it look like? So this is an example of someone buying and use the smart contract. So from buying to receiving, how the smart contract manage that rules. And again, you can change the rules. The rules depend on what you really want. So Amma pays the want to buy, for example, how can I say, a phone? Because here we are talking about phone. So someone want to buy a phone. We are talking. We have the name here, Amma. Who want to buy a phone? He send money in the smart contract first. So the smart contract secure the fund, never released or never sent to the seller. The seller received the notification say, okay, yes, Amma have sent the money in the smart contract. I need to deliver the phone. The next step, the smart contract need to know if the phone is delivered to Amma. Once Amma confirm the delivery, the money moves from the smart contract to the seller. This is a small sample of how we can use. Yes. So I was talking about. I don't know if you had the full explanation of this one. I don't know when it stopped. When I stopped. When my internet interrupted. Okay, Nanas. Again. Yeah. You can go on if you have a question.
No, it's not really a question. I think it's just an addition, and of course, I did get the explanation you put across, and I'm sure every other person also did. So, what I was going to say is that this sort of introduces smart contracts, in two structures. One has to do with technical flow, while the other has to do with human or operational flow, right? So, with the technical flow, I mean, we can assume it to be an automatic process where it doesn't really rely on any internal verifications before it proceeds. The only verification that has to be done is when you are setting it up, making sure that the datum is right, and then every other thing flows as and when you execute it, right. And then the human or operational flow would be where there is a need to have that both internal and external verification done by human beings. So, for instance, if we are bringing in the intersect analogy, for instance, intersect of course would set up their own ways of verifying received milestone completion forms, right? Once they feel like the information received is enough, then they can proceed to trigger the smart contract to execute, and that is where it would automatically release funds into this project team's wallet for them to be able to use for the next milestone. And it fits in with the analogy you were sharing earlier about if somebody wants to buy, Amma wants to buy a phone, right? Uh, you know, it's the same thing. Like we go to shops every day, we make purchases. Normally, even as human beings, what we do is that we keep our monies in our pockets. Get the device, inspect the device. Once we are comfortable that the device we have is legit and it's genuine and it's okay to use, before we actually go into our pocket and bring out this money to pay to, whoever is selling the phone to us. So it is the same way. Just at this time, your pocket is no more a physical pocket, but rather a digital pocket. So you put your money in that digital pocket, and then you write your instructions telling it that once I have confirmed that this phone is okay for me to use, then you send funds out of this digital pocket to pay for what I'm taking. So that's basically how the whole process works like. And I think this makes it easier for people to actually understand and appreciate how it works, right? Another analogy probably would be, I don't know how many people actually use Binance P2P. That is a very good case study of how smart contracts actually work, where you want to buy assets. So if, for instance, you're buying, then it means that you have your currency in fiat, right? And then whoever is trying to sell the asset to you, they lock the asset in a smart contract, and then once you make your fiat payment, they confirm with the smart contract that your payment has been received, and then the smart contract automatically releases the assets into your recipient wallet, so that you now have access to that particular asset. And it is the same way when you're also trying to sell an asset to somebody and then get a fiat token as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nana Safo. This is a very useful add-on. And it's explained many things of from what we've been explaining about the smart contract. And yeah, I do have another sample here. Um, and if someone have an ad or a question, you just feel free, open your mic and speak. So it's kind of a discussion. So if you have anything in mind, just drop it, or you just open your mic. We also have a community savings. Many African countries have this activity, but often, or I can say locally, um, we call it here like Likelemba. It's Swahili. So many people in Nigeria, maybe Susu or Tontine in France. So people in a group, they have like a kind of a pot, someone in collecting money from all the members, and they put together, and one member at a time receive the total amount of funds, and we do it until all members receive. But this kind of activities has a lot of problems because the middleman can go the money. We can have the problem of if the book where we write the money is lost. So we have a lot of problems with that activity on using papers. But here with the smart contract, no one hold the money, no middleman. You just trust the smart contract. You can even like deal with people out you don't know, but as long as the guy signed the money in the smart contract. So how does it really work? The middleman here, the smart contract here, the middleman is replaced by the smart contract, and all members deposit once the 100% of members is in the smart contract. The smart contract sent to the first guy and the second guy and the last until the all the members receive. This is a very very good sample of how the smart contract works. I don't know if you've tried the token. On my side, I've tried many times. So sometimes they changed my place. I was the second, and now I'm the third. But when you are talking about the smart contract, it doesn't. It's not possible to do that. Someone want to add on top of that? I can see Harry. Your mic was on. I don't
Yeah,
know if it was. Okay, it's Nana
yeah,
Sapa.
it's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Well, I mean, what you're saying is very true, right? In Ghana here, we call it susu. Okay, we call it
Okay.
susu. And just recently, a lady was actually sent to jail for, absconding people's money and then sort of trying to run away with it. Okay. So it is the same way, a group of people meet, they're like, okay, let's say, for instance, I'm using the CDs, maybe let's pay 100 CDs per week, right? And then you normally find about, a minimum of about 5 people in a group. It could some are able to go all the way to about 50 people in a group, right? And then what they do is that they collect money from each other every week, and then at the end of the month they give it to one person, right? So this person, they all actually pay their money to this person. For the first person, he actually got the money. The person got the money. Second person got the money. Third person got the money. So they kind of build some trust with him that, oh, he's reliable. Whenever we need our money, he's going to be there to sort of give us the money and stuff like that. And then based on that trust that they had built with him and with her, she leveraged on that to now finally try to run away with the next set of money that she had taken from the people. And then they quickly noticed, and then they, sort of informed the police, and then they got her arrested and went to court, and the court finally had to jail her because she wasn't willing to pay the money back to the people. And it's something that actually happens everywhere, even with individuals who also try to do these kind of savings with banks and savings and loans agencies, right? It still happens. We still hear news of people being if I could use the word scammed over here, they basically lose their money to the people that they're actually trusting to keep their funds for them, and then return it as and whenever they need it. So the smart contract, if it is in place here to sort of replace those individuals that we could term as middlemen here, it's basically solved the problem because now the funds are not in the pocket of an individual that you can either trust or not trust, right? Because this smart contract normally is trust. That's why we come in with the idea of blockchain being trustless. You don't necessarily need to trust whoever you are interacting with to be able to have an interface with a blockchain. So with a smart contract, the funds are locked digitally, right? And then like you're saying, it is programmed, right? So if the smart contract receives funds from, if it is 10 people in the group, if it receives funds from all the 10 people, automatically it knows that it needs to release funds to, let's say, person A, and then the next time it goes to person B, the next time it goes to person C. So that even keeps the chain of distribution intact. It never gets interrupted, like you were saying. Sometimes you know that you are the next person to take, but then they will come and sell all sorts of excuse to you that, oh, we know that you are the next person to take, but then this other person has gotten an accident or they're more mistake or whatever it is, so we need to raise the funds and then give it to that person, and maybe next time we give it to you, stuff like that. And you keep on waiting, and if you're not careful, you never get your money, right? So these are some of the issues. These are some of the real world issues, I term it, that blockchain is actually helping solve, right? But it's easy to explain it in this manner, but when it comes to actually technically executing it, that is where a lot of people have or fall short or probably have issues trying to understand exactly how the process works like. But once this explanation or once this understanding is grasped by individuals, then it is easy for blockchain to be integrated into our day-to-day activities and help us manage ourselves as individuals as well.
Yeah. Thank you very much again. You are trying to explain even better than this slide, and I like the way you're explaining because you're giving even samples. This is how we need to think when we are building application on dApps. It's coming to solve and to prevent some issues we have in our everyday lives. So when we are building a smart contract, we don't just build a smart contract because we like technology. No, we are solving an issue, and technology is there only to solve issues, not just because we like smart contract, or no, not just because we want to build something, but we are smart contract is there to solve real issues, as Nano have just explained. Someone want to go with the money of the group. So the smart contract want to do that, and the smart contract is transparent. Anyone can read it, can see all the rules. You'll be able to know what will happen when something, like when you are sending your money, what will happen behind, when will you gonna receive the fund. So all those information are publicly on chain, so you are able to see, to read it, to have all information before even start contributing in a smart contract. So yeah, I'll move in the next slide. If you have any question about this, and I know you may have uh, your experience about this because many people have used it. So think about the smart contract solving this issue. That's how you'll be solving other issues using a smart contract. It's the same concept of chain, or like in your daily lives, but now you use the technology, the smart contracts, to solve the issue. And this is even the key roles of the smart contract. Another one is a certificate on chain. The school issues it once on chain. An employer check it from anywhere, so you can just give the hash of the the certificate, and this certificate confirm in a second. So always this always there. No need, no losses, no fake data. You always have the smart the certificate with you anywhere you go. So common questions. I know I should maybe ask this question. I know the answers here, but many people feel like smart contracts means developers. But do you feel the same? I don't know. Do you feel the same? I want to hear about what you know when you are here. When you hear smart contract, word smart contract, do you think it's for developers or for technical? What do you think about the smart contract? It's a question. If you want to speak, you can speak. If you want to just drop it in the chat, what do you feel when you hear words like smart contract? I know my
Honestly,
I know my answer, but I want to hear you.
yeah, and let me just chime in before any other person. Honestly, when we hear, oh, let me make it personalized. Whenever I hear smart contracts, right, it sounds very technical to me. So, for instance, in our internal group, this week when we were trying to identify who would, moderate this particular session, what I said to the other members of the group was the fact that, due to the technical nature of this particular topic, we need somebody who has hands-on experience to help with this moderation. So what it means is that whenever I hear the term smart contracts, I think of it as something that is very technical and requires some form of technical know-how to be able to interpret and also engage with it. But further studies definitely have made it clear to me that you don't necessarily need to be a technical person to be able to interact with a smart contract, right? Somebody can actually develop the smart contract, and then you can just be a consumer and just use it at the end of the day. So you don't necessarily need to even understand exactly what the smart contract itself is doing because you could barely even see. Whenever it is integrated into a system, which is a DApp, you would barely notice exactly what is happening in terms of how the smart contract itself operates, right? You would only see front end interpretations and then that's all. You wouldn't understand the back end and everything. You don't need to understand all of those things. And what all you need to understand as an individual when it comes to smart contract is understanding how the policies have been set. It's just like writing policies for various incidents in the country. If you're able to understand how the policies are written or how the policies are presented, then you're able to appreciate, the extent at which it operates and also limits certain activities, and then you're able to live your life accordingly. So personally, I think it is very technical, but then in terms of how it actually works, you don't necessarily need to be a technical person to be able to, have an interaction with a smart contract. But of course, if you want to be able to write your own policies, which would then become this smart contract, then you would have to get that technical knowledge in terms of how to code it and how to execute it.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Someone else? Any other way of thinking when you read the word smart contract or when you hear about smart contract? What do you really feel? Someone else? Anything in the chat?
I can jump in. I think, something that, well, this is just something I've thought about. I haven't really been specifically faced with this problem, but something I just wonder about with a smart contract, it's kind of like making a commitment, making a promise, and signing a contract. But real world, can present sort of sticky situations where you might need to exit a contract, right? Like, Dan, you said in the very beginning of this call, sometimes you can create situations where funds are locked up for years. So, contract terms could sort of expire in the real world before they would expire in the technical sense. So that would be kind of one concern I would have in terms of, some potential use cases of this where you could get sort of something that's locked up in a technical block, or something that gets sent out, even though there's something offline that breaches your contract. But that doesn't that doesn't communicate with the on-chain piece of it, right? Like, for example, in the case, you gave, I think everyone here has experience with, like the tontine is what we do in Cameroon, where someone develops a trust, and then they go off once they have that trust and take your money. A smart contract, could be sort of still valid, and someone could use the execution maliciously. So those are just some thoughts I have about it. Just sharing.
Yeah, good. So we can even feel like every time we're talking about smart contract, people feel technical, like code or something really on chain, deep on chain. So I want you to first, if you want to really feel comfortable with the smart contract, feel like the smart contract is just the same way as you are writing a contract, you write articles and rules in the smart contract. For example, when can we when for example this smart contract, this contract, I mean, is can be like when can we, for example, stop this contract? For example, just feel like anyone can contribute in the smart contract. You can contribute in the smart contract as a simple user, not even user. Anyone can contribute. Anyone can read the smart contract, and only developers can build the code. Only the code need the developers. But anything else, testing, use it, contributing, adding rules, doing any other things on the smart contract doesn't really need you to be technical or developer. Only when we want to translate or to convert the idea and the contribution outside the code to the code and on chain, when we need technical. So every time we are talking about smart contracts, people really feels like I want to understand what it means, how it works, or maybe it's really need. I only need to. It doesn't how can I say? It just needs developers to talk about the smart contract, but even people outside the blockchain, even if you don't really know the blockchain, you can build the idea behind the smart contract, and only converting the smart contract to the contract or the idea behind to the real smart contract on chain need the developer and technical. That will help you first think about the contract itself and add all ideas. For example, when you are talking about tontine, yes, of course, I've showed you the simple example of how the smart contract can work. But the tontine on chain is really different to the tontine off chain. Why do I say that? Because off chain, we know that we are going to someone, we give the money, and if someone, for example, is sick or someone is is missing, we can just arrange and say, okay, I'll just call this guy and say, okay, this round you'll just receive maybe 90% of the money, and we'll complete it after because someone is not available. You can see those kind of possibility. We need to convert those possibilities to on-chain agreement, and only when we are converting those possibilities, ideas, and contribution off-chain to the on-chain, then we need a developer or a technical. That stops many people building the smart contract for their apps. And even if you are a builder and you are not that comfortable with the smart contract, you fear introducing the smart contract in the platform. But I want to really, from today, feel like anyone can build the smart contract. Build the smart contract doesn't really mean code the smart contract. Build the idea behind rules and anything you want to automate, and you want the smart contract, like when you want to transfer any trust from human to the smart contract, you just fill and complete the idea outside and give it to a technical guy or a developer to build the idea on chain. So from today, this is just I can say advice or I don't know. I can say advice. Make sure when you want to automate or when you want to give more trust on chain, build the smart contract, not develop it, build the smart contract by giving all the rules you want to automate. And the technical guy will help you, or if you are technical, you can convert it, you can translate the simple idea or normal idea or user's idea to the smart contract. Here are just common questions. Do I need to be programmer to use the smart contract or to interact with the smart contract? No. The simple question, the simple answer is no. Not only you can read the smart contract, you can go on chain reading the smart contract. You need to understand how the smart contract works, and that one doesn't require you to be developer. That it helps you just to know how am I dealing with the smart contract. Reading the smart contract shows you it's like you want to read your contract before signing it. For example, when the app is using the smart contract, the only thing you need to know is the smart contract because you are dealing the smart contract. You are not dealing with the guy who built the smart contract. If you don't trust the smart contract, just drop it because everything will be executed in the smart contract. So yeah, the first question is really no. Can rule change? Yes, not quickly, but we can change. It really depends on again on how you build the smart contract. You can upgrade the smart contract with new rules and new agreements. Uh, is it expensive to try? No, not really. It doesn't cost you a lot of money, like a lot of ADA when you're talking about Cardano. So you can test. We have free smart contracts. If you're technical, you can go and test it. And if you're not technical, you can think about the smart contract like off the chain. And if you have a DApp or you are a builder, you can execute the smart contract and test how it works. Yes. Next. Let me go next. So, what could you build with the smart contract? We had a lot of examples, but I chose just some of them. Cover for your district. For example, Isuzu we've talked about. Isuzu that runs itself, so doesn't need middlemen. School fee escrow for parents. So this can be something like you want to pay the full fees of your child, and you send the full amount, but the amount will be only released after a certain terms. Like it release it will, if it's 3 terms or 4, I don't know if it's 2, it will release the first pound from at the beginning. For example, it really depends again on rules you have in the smart contract, and again the second or the rest of the fund will be released after. We also have land record that can't vanish, ticket that can't be fake, reality paid the moment art sells. So those are samples. You can build the smart contract for any type of project. It really depends if you really need on it really depends on if it need a smart contract or not. But if you feel like you need to automate and need to bring more trust on chain in the smart contracts, you can do it. Yes. And then that's all. Yes, you can go on.
Yeah, I mean, I know that we have already discussed, how the smart contract could help with, for instance, the second option, which is the Susu that runs itself. But I mean, I really wish we could get, if not today, maybe some other time to discuss the other options on board as to how smart contracts could actually help with, delivering these products to its consumers and exactly how its consumers can actually expect it to work, right? Because some of these things are what would actually help, people understand exactly what blockchain and smart contracts are actually doing to help humanity.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we have an open source project building with Intersect Developer Advocate, which uses smart contract, a very good sample of smart contract vesting. And maybe one day we'll have a chance to see how it's interacting with users. And again, you don't see the smart contract. You don't need to see the smart contract. They don't tell you this is a smart contract. You just see how it works, and if you want to go deeper, you can like go in the code and see if how the contract works. But most of time, it's just a very simple interface. Doesn't need a lot of information in the interface. You just do transaction very quickly. You don't even know if you are interacting with smart contract. We have an open source using vesting smart contracts. One day, maybe we have a chance to interact with the vesting smart contracts, which releases money after a certain conditions. And yeah, we had a session with developer in the developer experience, so we can see how it works here, and people may need to see how the smart contract works. So yeah, we are at the end of this first one, but the second one is not for presentation. I just want you to, if you have time, you can go and read the full um, smart contracts introduction. This is exactly what I've been explaining, but quite deeper and with uh, diagrams and code, like you really understand if you want to go deeper. For example, here what we've been saying, user want to spend found, transaction is built, smart contract shows is executed. If valid, network accept. If not valid, network reject. That's a simple explanation how the smart contract works. And technically, this is how it works. User interact with the smart contract with the wallet, because this is your identity. This is your key, and then from this wallet, you'll interact with the smart contract. You'll sign and send the transaction in the smart contract. The verification and rules will be verified here. Once verification is made, it's sent to the network. If yes, it releases the fund. If not, it rejects directly. Uh, um, the link is in our session. In this presentation, you can have this slide, I think, from Wada. Yeah, we can, if you have any question, we still have time. I don't know, Megan, if you still have time. Yes. If yes, yeah, we can discuss.
Yeah, we are doing an hour and a half, so we can spend another 15 minutes here. And I do want to confirm, so we'll add this presentation link to the spreadsheet with all of the resources.
Okay, good. So yeah, if you have any question regarding the smart contract, feel free to really ask any type of question. I will come and I will be happy to answer. And if you want to add not only question or you want to contribute, yeah, feel free to raise your hand or just open your mic and speak. Yes, Nana Safo, yeah.
Yeah, I have a question, and it has to do with the immutability nature of these smart contracts, right? We say that these smart contracts are basically rules that we set out on chain to help with execution of transactions. And Megan did ask a question about, or shared some concern about, if, for instance, there's a contract, right? And then you want to back out of the contract. Exactly how does it work when smart contracts are in place? Could you share a bit more light on that? And also maybe tell us how that affects the immutability nature of the blockchain itself.
I didn't hear in the beginning about the like. Can you come again about the question? Like, can you come again?
Yeah. So Megan did share some share her thoughts about it, about how, you know, sometimes she worries about, for instance, you are in a contract and you want to back out of the contract. Exactly how does that work, right? And I'm kind of adding another layer onto that as a question, asking, if for instance there is a smart contract that is active and then, one party opts to back out of it, right? Or some people decide to back out of it. How is that achievable on chain? And how does that also affect the immutability nature of the blockchain itself? Because we always say that blockchain is immutable, which simply means that whatever you put on blockchain is there forever and you cannot change it.
Yeah, very good questions. The two are almost the same, but the first one, when it comes for normal contracts we are using with papers and stuff, it's not really the same because we need to translate that contract to understand like a contract that the blockchain can understand. Okay, so it's not just about papers. It's not just about signature. It's mostly about rules. You do this, you get this. You don't do this, you don't get this. It's mostly about rules, not about paper. It's not something we just scan and put it in on chain and this is a smart contract. It's mostly translated from paper and articles and rules to on-chain like rules. Like we need to convert those rules we have in the paper, and it may not look the same, but yes, it's almost the same because when you have an agreement with someone, it's mostly about contract. For example, if I'm building an app for someone and I do have an agreement with that guy, so the first contract can be okay. First of all, you need to do this. The output will look like this. The first agreement. You need to meet that agreement. So it's not about paper, but it act the same. That's why you are saying contract. It act the same rules, and if you break the rules, you don't get you don't get the output. But now, when you are building a smart contract, you need to have in mind that when, for example, you want to upgrade, when the rules are broken, like when we broke the rules, or when we want to stop, or I mean uh, get out of the smart contract, for example. All of that are rules. So we need to think about all of those parameters before even deploying the smart contract. For example, if, for example, we say the smart contract is only for 1 year, and after 6 year, after 1 year, but after 6 months, someone want to stop and doesn't really want to continue with the agreement. How does this really work? We need to have that rules. How can I stop my contract from now? How can I stop building? How can I stop? How can I like cancel my contract? All of that are rules. All of those rules must be in the smart contract. Most of smart contract doesn't lock you in. It asks you to put to get. So as long as you don't put, you don't get. It doesn't need you because we don't have like codes in the smart contract. So no one will follow up or will test you. But now you need to make sure every time the guy we need to get the output, he need to put something in. That's how it works. So if, for example, you have a rule where you need to pay an employee, and that rule might be in the smart contract, but the employee need to add some input to get the payment. You see, it's a simple contract, a normal contract, but the contract asks you to put certain like information in to get the output back. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, right? And also, the fact that I'm now getting to understand that if, for instance, a smart contract exists and you need to make any, relevant changes to it, if it was not already designed as part of the rules, which is these changes that we are talking about, then the best thing is to, trigger, you know, that rule that would actually cause the smart contract to, stop executing, and then now create a new smart contract that clearly explains the new changes, and then have it on chain, and then have it executable.
Yeah, exactly. And one more thing is the smart contract can have a governance. So if you don't know, you can establish a governance in the smart contract to change some parameters. For example, if we want to try track in Wada, for example, and you want some parameters to be changed using a vote. So yes, you can establish a governance in the smart contract to change some information directly on chain without rebuilding. And rebuilding means you change, you hard code the changes. But using a governance, you can change parameters. For example, people we want to change the salary, my salary on in the smart contract of Wada, and what do I need to do in the smart contract? Say, okay, the changes of the payment of members must be only updated by governance actions. So people in the smart contract in the community must apply or submit a gov action, and the people in the community in the smart contract again, the governance also follows some certain rules. And after the condition are met, maybe after 60% of yes, we change the parameters on chain directly without going back in the code or change something. And that one can also uh, lock found and lock found. For example, we have the money in the smart contract and say only after yeses from reviewers, then the money will be removed from the smart contract. You see, that one is fully on chain, verifiable on chain, and the release comes from the output from many people at the same time. It's not only one, but it depends on maybe 3, 4, 5 reviewers to review the project before the money goes to the recipient. So all of that are rules, but you think first on how you want to implement, and you can implement the small version by providing, for example, an admin access. So it's kind of a wallet. It can be a multi-sig wallet or a simple wallet, which allows you guys, when you made something wrong, you can release the fund or you can reverse actions. So yeah, it's kind of master account or a community account like multi-sig wallet, which allows the smart contract to reverse some actions. This is also possible. Yeah. Any other question? I don't know if you also have another question about what I've just added on top of.
Yeah, I mean, so maybe you could touch briefly on the second part of my question, which has to do with how this affects. I mean, all of these actions affect the immutability state of the blockchain.
Okay. Yeah. Immutability of the blockchain is not compromised because the changes, for example, when you are sending your UTXOs, you don't break the rules of the blockchain. You just transfer the asset from A to B. This is exactly what we are trying to do with the changes we can make with the gov actions in the, for example, smart contract. Nothing really changed. People decide. Even remember, when you are sending money from A to B, validators decide first if yes, you can send. So this is the same way. People in the community validating the smart contract must validate what you are doing. And it doesn't change the rule of the blockchain itself. So you can update parameters, you can update information, but make sure that the rules are met. Like if yes, you, Nanasafo, you are allowed to change that information, not someone else, and that rules is only you can do that. This is one rule we can follow, and doesn't mean you break the rule of the decentralization or the immutability of the on-chain data. That's how it really works. It really depends on you, and rules you put behind, and how your smart contract is working. It can be a gov action, it can be admins, it can be maybe chairman in the community who is able to do this, and we provide his wallet after the voting this passes. We know this is the wallet changing some parameters and money, for example. All those information must be known in the smart contract. So smart contracts release and act like itself, and yeah, yeah, exactly. The smart contract can work depending on those rules. I don't know if we still have any questions. We are still here. We still have like 2 more minutes. We can answer one question or two questions. Or I can send back to Megan if we are at the end. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, thank you very much for that. Moderation. I had one more question, but I guess well, let me ask if you have enough time to answer. Then that's fine. I mean, have there been any security breach incidences regarding smart contracts? So let's say, for instance, somebody is able to set up a smart contract to be able to scam a lot of people, of their hard-earned monies.
Yes. Smart contract also have security level. So if you just build a very small contract without a good level of security, someone can um, like can scam you in the smart contract, can break the rules in the smart contract. So remember again, you need to build a house. It's like you are building a house, but you leave the door open. Even if it's your house, even if it's your TV, but someone is about to get in to pick the TV and go. So when you're building a smart contract, make sure also you block you put a very good level of security. Mostly when you are dealing with fund, and most of time smart contract deal with fund and money and assets. So depending on the level of security you put, the smart contract can be broken or very strong. So it's not impossible someone, a scammer or someone getting the smart contract, interact directly in the smart contract and get money and get the money. So you need to think about who is able to do what and stuff like that. But it's not possible because it's just a script of like of it just a code. So you are the one who need to say this is the rules and this is the level of security. Who is able to do this? For example, in the smart contract, someone in the smart contract is allowed to interact with the smart contract, but he may not need to release the fund, for example, or the smart contract must allows anyone, for example, in the team to, for example, send money from the smart contract. You see, if you did not put certain rules about that question, anyone can send, and you may not know it in the first day. After maybe having a lot of funds in the smart contract, someone get the issue and release the fund and goes with the money. So you need to prevent and add a good level of security as well in the smart contract.
Yeah, and just to add on top of that, I think that is the reason why it is very important to take smart contract auditability serious as as a smart contract developer or a smart contract policy drafting personnel, right? And of course, for those who probably are also looking into some careers in the blockchain or Web3 space, another career you could look into if you cannot become a smart contract developer, just to write the hard codes. You can choose to become a smart contract builder, which is you write these policies and rules. You can also choose to become a smart contract auditor, where once the codes are developed, you have tested to make sure that they are meeting the rules that they are supposed to meet, as described or written by whoever brought it together, right? So these are some opportunities for individuals, and I think if you go through some educational platforms, you'll be able to get some of these courses, learn and then get a certificate, and then you can also add it to your CVs. And who knows, you may land a job of becoming a smart contract auditor or smart contract builder, and then that could also bring you some useful revenue as and when you age. But yeah, thanks very much, Dan. I enjoyed it.
Thank you again for the time, and I was happy to present this in this session. Thank you.
Awesome. Over to you, Megan.
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Well, no, this was a great session. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks, Dan, for coming in with the presentation. It was we're getting into more interesting topics every week. So just a quick reminder to join us next week. We'll be joined by Zhang Ti. He's going to be moderating for us. And the topic is about NFTs and real world assets. So definitely it will be an interesting session. Look forward to seeing everyone next week. Bring a friend and make sure you check out our resource link to get ahead on the topics and start studying on your own before you join the discussion. So until then, see you all next week.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, everyone.